Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Good morning. I would like to call the Budget Committee to order and ask for approval of the minutes from the March 3rd Budget Committee meeting. Moved by Supervisor Merlino, seconded by Supervisor Diamond. Any additions, corrections? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. We're meeting, there's no well, there's an action, but no action agenda. We're meeting because there was 2 referrals to the Budget Committee. Section 5. The first referral is from the April 25th, 2022 Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee meeting, and it was a request to increase the salary for the first assistant public defender from $97,310 to $102,053. I guess the objective would be to refer this to personnel.
Go from personnel from here.
That would, yep. Which probably is where it should have went in the first place.
I was wondering why it ended up in budget first.
I don't know. That's what the committee did. So
Do we have money in the bank?
I think Earl Herring pays for all this, I believe.
So a motion to move it to personnel would be in order?
Yes.
Yeah.
Moved by Supervisor Liggett, seconded by Supervisor Wild. Further discussion? Yes, Mr. McGowan.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was away when this was brought up, and I have a little bit of a problem because I was told when I tried to get someone an increase on salary that we had a process of doing this, and then it changed. This is the 3rd time it sounds like it has changed in the way we were going, and I thought nobody was getting any raises until we were able to work on budget. And those when the decisions were being made.
I don't know. I guess some of you hear what you want to hear. The process that I described here, I think was March 3rd, was that if someone outside of budget would like to request the pay raise, that they should go through their respective committee. And if that committee approves, that should be moved to personnel, and from personnel to the finance to the full board. And that's what I said then. That's what I'm saying now.
And you're right, and I did that process.
Right.
And then when it made it into financial budget, I was jammed up and shut down and sent packing.
No, when it got to personnel, it didn't make it out of personnel.
So you jammed me up. And now we're doing this. You know, what is the reason for this raise? For this salary increase?
I believe the gentleman's being moved to the first assistant public defender. I think that's the reason. I would have to
What
refer.
is his position now?
If we could go into executive session, I can discuss these issues, but I thought we were allowed to discuss personnel, specific issues about a specific person, unless we're in executive session. Maybe I'm wrong in that, I don't know, but I can answer all the questions.
Is this in line with the vice chair? The attorney's chart?
Yes, I believe it would go from a grade 4 to a grade 5, correct?
And if this gets passed out of budget, goes on to personnel, will it show up in personnel in 10 minutes?
Correct.
Okay. And perhaps bigger discussion could take place then.
Chairman, just for clarity, this is not coming out of our budget, but it's funded by another source.
Funded by the state.
It's funded by the state, so it's not coming out of our budget.
Well, it matters. It's coming out of somebody's budget and it's coming from the state, but we still pay tax.
Point of order. You want to get recognized there before you start chattering?
Right.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes, you know, I don't it's really not, I think I more have a problem with the principle of what's going on here. And, you know, a race is a race, and most of the people in this county office aren't gonna see that who pays for this and where the money comes from. All they're gonna see is that somebody's got a raise. And like I said, I was told that nobody were gonna get any raises until we work out on our budget and get our budget worked out. So, you know, and really in all fairness, I didn't like how it was handled with me, and I don't like how this is being handled. This sounds a little sneaky.
Well, again, you seem to hear what you want to hear. Yes, Supervisor Beatty.
I'm a little offended by that.
I'm not sure why we would increase the salary. I don't see any job description attached, maybe see the sheet filled out, but I don't see any job description change. Says to be supervisory position. I thought the public defender, Marcy, supervisor of that department. So now you're saying we need 2 supervisors of that department?
In terms of supervisory function, attorneys plus me, secretaries and a case manager,
Mhm.
it is extremely difficult for me to supervise every single employee at all times on every case. And the person who is currently the first assistant does additional supervisory jobs and functions beyond what is required as the first assistant.
Oh,
And again, that's
yeah.
what's going into executive session.
well, it doesn't matter about the person, it
Okay.
matters about the position. So we can talk about that in
Okay.
open session.
Okay.
So now you're saying that the first assistant now is in a supervisory position. Were they ever in that position
They
before?
were doing some supervisory work, now they're doing even more. And as a result of doing even more, I feel it's appropriate for this person to have this pay raise, which would be covered by Office of Indigent Legal Services. In terms of fairness throughout the county, it is my understanding that his first assistant is also at the level 5 and not a level 4. And I feel that this person deserves that pay raise based on the function of what they do.
It's irregardless of who's in the position. So let me be clear. I don't care who's in the position.
I
That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with, should we be giving additional money for a supervisory position? That's what the crux of it is. And I'm not comfortable with that. I'm going to be very frank with you. So I'm going to vote that no to pass this to personnel because I don't think we should be passing it at all. So nothing against the department, but otherwise we could have each department head coming and saying, hey, you know, Jack supervises 2 other assistants, so I'd like to have a pay raise for him. And Danny supervises 1 person in his department, so he needs a pay raise. I just feel uncomfortable with the precedent we're setting. Even if it's been set before in a different department, I'm not comfortable with this. And it's nothing against the person. I don't even know the person. So it's all about the position and what we're saying as a precedent and so forth. So I'm going to no vote on moving this along.
Any other discussion from the committee? If not, I'm going to call the question on forwarding this to the Personnel Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No. Opposed.
2 opposed. Okay, the next referral is from the Health Services Committee. The committee recommends budgeting more appropriately throughout the year for court-ordered CPL 730 expenses within the mental health office for the community services budget. And the CPL 730 is the competency testing. Usually it's court ordered. This year we budgeted 40,000. For many years, we budgeted 20 and 25,000 and never had never got caught. But it's expensive to do these things and so, okay, I didn't budget enough.
And it depends on caseload. Is that correct?
Yeah, it depends on who's ordered to have these hearings or tests, I guess.
if I may.
Yes,
And if there is, then if it's under budgeted, we find it to be under budgeted, then we make budget adjustments or budget amendment, I guess it would be, to appropriate more funds for it.
yes, we have, you know, we have a bill. We have a bill right now of, I think it's 138,750. That's for the first quarter. So at that rate, you know, we're probably looking at $400,000.
And we probably have trend over time on this, what we spent, I would imagine.
I'm sure we could produce one.
Yeah.
I got it at my fingertips if you want it.
Okay.
Last year in this account, we spent $33,933. The prior year, 2020. It's like, oh, that can't be it. I apologize. I think I'm on the wrong account here. No, I'm just looking at the wrong line, sorry. Okay, 2019, we spent $21,000. 2020, we spent $42,000. And 2021, we spent $222,250. This is restoration to competency. It's when someone is not mentally fit to stand trial. And they go and get treatment with the hope that they can be restored so that they can stand trial.
7:30 is a competency. The question is, can the person aid in their defense? The issue is, do they understand what a judge is, a jury, a defense attorney, a prosecutor, and what the charges are against them? It is an evaluation by 2 psychiatrists that are assigned. You can occur in custody or out of custody. If they are deemed incapable of aiding in their defense, then the person is committed to the commission of the, and the charges could be dismissed depending if there's felonies or misdemeanors. Misdemeanors are dismissed. Felonies could be reinstated after a 90-day period of observation. And so they are then, whether it's inpatient or outpatient, depending on what their custodial status is. That's the general information about a 7:30.
Thank you. Yes, Supervisor Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious about the root cause. And my suspicion is this might have something to do with COVID. And the thought is maybe this could come out of ARPA funds. If it is something that we can attribute to ARPA.
Okay.
And the recovery.
Mr. York is on Zoom here. Maybe he could, Mr. York, could you address that question?
Yes, good morning, everyone. You know, it's really hard to say. I mean, we could, you know, sort of suspect that maybe COVID has had somewhat of an impact. I think there was some backlog in terms of the court. You know, I mean, it could be a number of things, honestly, bail reform. You know, we've just seen a bit of a spike in this. Exactly what the reason is, it's hard to say.
Thank you. Yes, Supervisor Beatty.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think it's a county responsibility. I think we need to fund it accordingly. I wouldn't feel comfortable with ARPA money being used for this because I don't see the correlation. In fact, if we look, am I correct, Mr. York? If we looked a couple of years ago, we had a spike and then downturn and so forth. So
Yeah.
It's a county function. It's a county responsibility. The county should fund it. But decide on the amount is up to the committee, but that's my 2 cents.
And I just like to point out that up until 2 years ago, this was 50-50 state county, but the state changed it to 100% county. Thank you very much.
So double the budget.
Supervisor Merlino.
Yeah, with that said, I think we have no choice. I agree with Mr. Beatty. We should fund it. Might come out of contingency or reserve funds. But it doesn't look like we have a choice.
I guess the question is, how much should we appropriate as a recommend to the finance? committee? I would say 300,000 or 400,000.
Could we,
Yes,
we ask Mr. York, what
Yes,
his
Mr.
recommendation? would be?
Mr. York, how much do you think that we will need for 2022?
Yeah, I would say, just looking at the trend, I mean, we have had this is, the first quarter involved two individuals. One was in for the full 3 months and one was in for one of those months. The person that was in 3 months is no longer there. The other person is still there. So just looking at it for the rest of the year, yeah, I would think somewhere around 300,000 might be reasonable.
Thank you. Yes. Okay,
I'll make a motion that we amend this budget, $300,000 additional dollars
and refer it to finance.
and refer it to finance.
And source? We need. to
Yeah,
identify a source.
yeah, the source would be fund balance. Otherwise, you wipe out the contingency.
Unbalanced.
Seconded, moved by Supervisor Beatty, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Further discussion on referring this to finance? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mr. York.
Thank you.
I would also ask for a referral to the legislative committee to push the state to reinstate their 50% cost share on this and maybe push them to do 75%. They seem to be flush with money, so you know, it's their program.
Do we need a resolve to move that to committee or? is
Yeah, we
consensus?
need to refer it if that's what the committee would like.
Make a referral to legislative and rules.
Moved by-
for statement of funding for the mental health portion of.
Moved by Supervisor Leggett, seconded by Supervisor Wild. Any discussion? I'll call the question on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Any other items? Privilege of the floor. Mr. Lehman, is there any comments on YouTube?
Good morning, Chairman Thomas. No, there's nothing on YouTube.
Thank you. With that, a motion to adjourn. Moved by Supervisor Beatty, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. All in favor?
Aye.